Oh, Lordy, well, I kissed her again because she had kisses sweeter than wine. She had kisses sweeter than wine.
I grew up right around Portland, Oregon, just across the river from Portland in a little town called Camas, Washington State, and majored in music in school, and was in the choir and the church choir and all that stuff, and started singing in 1952 or 53. Joined the Air Force for a few years, was sent overseas to Korea, came back, and just kept singing in little clubs and so on around the country until I could finally get a chance to record.
She had kisses.
Everybody called me Little Jimmie Rodgers. I only weighed about 10 pounds and wore big, thick glasses, and I looked like Ishka-Bibble. So I worked my way down to California and sang for several people down there and auditioned for people. Finally ended up in New York City. Auditioned for Roulette Records. This was in June of 1957. And they were looking for a new artist at that time, new young singers. And I sang Honeycomb for them. They liked it. And to make a long story short, the next day they took me to a little studio in New York called Bell Sound. And they brought in 4 players and 3 singers, and we recorded it in about 2 hours with no charts, no music. Wow. Just taught them the chords. And they recorded the song in a couple hours, and when they put it out, it went to number 1.
And they called it honeycomb, and they roamed the world and they gathered all of the honeycomb.
I had 6 or 7 in a row that sold 1 million in a 2-year period. And then over the years, I have 22 now gold records from different parts of the country. Australia, Japan, and England, and so on.
Make us realize our night is over.
It's Over was written, I wrote it in New York. I was on tour with the Tijuana Brass, and they were at the Carnegie Hall in New York City. And there was a young lady who was crazy about one of the guys in the band, and she came to me and she said, I'm in love with this guy, what do I do? And I knew, she was just a fan. And I said, well, you don't do anything. You can't follow him around the country. They travel from place to place. And she said, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And so I just told her, I said, look, it's over, It's all over. Just forget about it. And I felt sorry for her, but she was just a young girl, confused. So I went back to my room that night and sat up till about 4 in the morning writing It's Over, and came back and recorded it as a demo record. I'd finished an album with Glenn Campbell on guitar, when Glenn played session work in those days. That was in 63, I think it was. And I'd finished an album, and John Gary, the singer, came in and asked me, he said, have you written anything I could record? And I said, well, I just finished a song that would be great for you. And Glenn and I sat down with a bass player and a drummer that were still there, and I played the chords to It's Over, and then they memorized it, and then we went back, we recorded it twice. And I took the demo home at 3 in the morning, and I listened to it on my little tape machine at home, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna release this. Released it, became a hit for me. Elvis recorded it later on.
If you knew just how I really feel, you might return it yet. There are so many times.
Well, I was hurt. I can't tell it the whole story because there's some ensuing. There were lawsuits and everything there, and I don't want to get into it. But I was hurt on the way home from a Christmas party, stopped and beaten up. Somebody came up to my window, and I rolled the window down, and they hit me with something. And we've never really figured out exactly what did happen. But it stopped my career because it took me 20 years of recuperative time. When I did go back to work, brain surgery is a terrible thing to go through, and I went down to 118 pounds and couldn't walk and couldn't talk and couldn't do a lot of things. But I gradually, as I got better, there was people became even more interested in my work, and I ended up working all the major rooms in the country and had the Carol Burnett Summer Replacement Show on television. And then later on, I started developing trouble speaking with my voice, trouble singing with it, and then over a period of several years, it went completely away, and I wasn't able to perform. So that really literally stopped my career for quite a while. In 1984, I think I went to UCLA, and they didn't know what to call it in those days. And then I went to University of Southern California in San Diego. Then I went to Nashville, Tennessee, there to some specialists there. Went through voice therapy with Seth Riggs in California, who was a great therapist, and Gary Katona, who was another one. Nothing seemed to work for the voice at all, and I ended up, my wife and I moved to Branson, Missouri, and I was producing shows there. We heard about Dr. Bastian in Chicago, so I went up to see him, and this was in 1995 or 96, and he was the first one to diagnose, even though he said it was atypical, he said it's definitely spasmodic dysphonia. He did give me Botox injections, and he hit the right place. He's quite a guy. So it worked for a while with me. The voice got better, and gradually it wore off, and then I had to go back to Chicago again for another one. And I could sing a little bit, but still not great. And I had 2 treatments. But I decided at that time, I was already busy. I was writing and producing, and I was doing a lot of things. And I didn't need to sing at that time. I thought, well, let me wait and find out more about what this is and what causes this before I'll have more Botox injections. Dr. Bastian loves to sing, in Chicago. He liked to sing, and he was very interested in my music. Then I played Dr. Damrow some of my music at Stanford, and he got excited. So they did the collagen implant for me here about 6 months ago. Okay. Well, I don't know if your people know about that too much, but they put collagen somewhere around in here to protect the muscle from pushing and to, interrupting the vocal cords a little bit. It worked for a while. It's not a bad surgery. I was in and out in 1 day, 2 days rather, but I didn't even spend the night in the hospital. And we drove up from Palm Springs, where we live now, and back. And they said, come back in 30 days. We'll keep track, maybe 2 or 3 months. We'll watch it, and if it gets better or stays better, then we'll go back in and put in that little inserts in here that take the place of the collagen, because collagen doesn't stay. Right. It dissolves and goes away. Now I'm doing shows again. I'm doing 2-hour concerts with this voice and playing records and singing along with them, and the people love it that I'm back out there because I can still sing a little bit and I can still perform.
Sometimes you don't need a voice. When I was playing golf last week, true story, and I'm a pretty good player because I teach golf, and I hit a real good drive, and it bounced and was way up in the air and hit this cart path and was heading right for this woman in a cart. And it ended up hitting her windshield. But I was trying to yell for, and I'm going.
I get phone calls from people from all over the country who know that I'm involved, and they have my number. I'm not afraid to give it to them. And most of them can't talk at all. Now, a few years ago, I had to push on my chest to speak. Now I can talk. I still can't sing very well, but I can talk. So you wouldn't believe the different conversations I have with people. The minute the phone rings and I pick it up and somebody goes, hello, I know. I know it's some poor cab driver out there somewhere who can't communicate with people.
When you walk away from me, there is no place to put my hand except to shade my eyes against the sun.
Well, I can contribute by just speaking out and showing people that we are trying to help, and some of that I'm trying to help myself and other people too, by seeing if my being there can maybe instigate more money coming in for support, for us to be able to develop the research that's needed. We need to gather together and get things done as best we can.
Watch you walk away, somehow I have to let you go. Now it's over.